In the heart of the jungle, where sunlight barely touches the forest floor and every leaf seems to hold a secret, lived a girl named Lina. She was no ordinary child. She belonged to this wild world in a way few humans ever could. Since she was little, Lina had learned to listen to the whispers of the trees, to understand the language of the wind, and to move silently like a shadow. Her parents, who were explorers and lovers of nature, had disappeared mysteriously, leaving her alone but never truly lost, for the jungle had become her home and her family. Every step she took was careful yet confident, knowing that beneath the beauty of the towering trees and the songs of the birds, danger lurked. But Lina was not afraid. She knew the jungle's moods, its rhythms, and its rules. Today, as the mist hung low and the air smelled of earth and rain, something stirred deep within the jungle, a sound that made the ground tremble and the animals hush. Lina's heart quickened. She sensed that this day would not be like any other, for the fierce panther and the mighty silverback gorilla, two ancient rivals, were coming together. And in the middle of their fierce standoff, Lina stood still, calm and fearless, ready to face whatever fate had in store. Lina had been gathering herbs near the edge of the river when she first heard it, the low growl that sent a ripple through the jungle's stillness. She stopped and looked up, her sharp eyes catching movement among the thick trees. There, not far away, stood the panther, sleek, powerful, muscles coiled like springs ready to strike. Its eyes glowed with a fierce intensity, a silent warning to all who dared come close. But Lina's gaze shifted quickly to the other side of the clearing, where a massive figure emerged from the shadows. The silverback gorilla, towering and imposing, beat his chest with a deep, thunderous rhythm that echoed through the jungle. His face was stern, filled with pride and a hint of sorrow, the weight of countless battles and losses carried in his broad shoulders. The two creatures faced each other like ancient warriors, locked in a silent battle of wills. Lina's heart pounded, but she did not move. Instead, she took a slow, steady breath, knowing that stepping between them was dangerous, yet something inside her urged her forward. As the panther crouched, ready to leap, and the gorilla's roar filled the air, Lina's small figure stood defiantly between them, unwavering. The jungle seemed to hold its breath, for in that tense moment, neither beast attacked. Something about the girl's courage unsettled them both. It was as if time slowed, the hostility suspended in the thick, humid air. The panther's tail flicked nervously, and the gorilla's chest beating slowed, their eyes flickering with confusion. For the first time, the old enemies hesitated, caught in a moment that neither had expected. Lina's presence changed everything. The line between predator and prey blurred, and in the heart of the jungle, a new story was about to unfold. Years before this tense moment, a tragic event had planted the seeds of the fierce hatred between the panther and the gorilla. The panther's cub, young and curious, had been found lifeless near the edge of the gorilla's territory. No one knew exactly what happened, but the panther's heart held only one truth: the gorillas were to blame. From that day forward, the panther carried a heavy burden of grief and anger, vowing to protect its domain at all costs. On the other side, the silverback gorilla named Thabo bore his own scars. His troop had suffered greatly in a devastating fire, a fire caused by humans who dared to invade the jungle for their own gain. The loss left Thabo bitter and wary, not just of people, but of all predators who prowled the forest, including the panther. He blamed the panther for many of the struggles his family faced, even if the truth was far more complicated. This old grudge was not just about territory or power. It was about pain, loss, and survival. Each had stories of sorrow that no one else could fully understand, stories that twisted their hearts and sharpened their claws. So when the panther and gorilla met that day, it was not just a clash of animals. It was the collision of two histories, two wounds that ran deep beneath the surface, and between them stood Lina, the girl who knew nothing of their past, but whose bravery would soon rewrite their future. As the panther's muscles tensed and the gorilla's chest heaved with a powerful beat, ready to clash, Lina did something unexpected. Instead of stepping back in fear, she stepped forward with calm determination. She reached down and placed her hand gently on the earth beneath her feet, then began to hum a soft, ancient melody, a song her mother had taught her long ago. The jungle seemed to pause. The animals nearby quieted, as if the very air was listening. That melody carried something deeper than sound. It carried memory, peace, and hope. The panther's fierce eyes flickered with uncertainty, and the gorilla's intense gaze softened just a little. Neither understood the tune, yet something within them stirred, a feeling long forgotten. It was as if the jungle itself remembered a time before pain and anger, a time when harmony ruled. Lina's humming grew stronger but gentle, steady but soothing. She didn't need words. Her voice spoke through the melody, bridging a divide that had seemed impossible to cross. The fierce tension that had crackled like lightning between the two creatures began to dissolve, replaced by a fragile calm. For the first time that day, the panther lowered its head slightly, and the gorilla's chest beating slowed. They hesitated, caught in a moment of peace neither expected. Lina stood between them, not as prey, but as a bridge, a living symbol of hope in a jungle torn by old wounds. Just as the fragile calm began to settle, a sudden snap echoed through the trees. A hidden trap set by human poachers had been triggered nearby. Without warning, a heavy net shot out from the underbrush, aiming straight for the panther. Lina's eyes widened in alarm. Without hesitation, she threw herself forward, trying to shield the animal from the deadly snare. In that instant, everything changed. The silverback gorilla roared with fierce urgency and lunged forward, tearing the net with powerful hands. The panther, muscles coiled with renewed strength, slashed at the ropes holding the trap. Together, the two rivals acted as one, not against each other, but to protect the girl who had dared to stand between them. The poacher's cruel plan was shattered in seconds. The jungle held its breath as predator and protector became allies in the face of a common enemy. Lina's courage had awakened something deep inside both creatures, a bond forged not from fear or hatred, but from the need to protect what they all loved, the wild, untamed jungle they called home. For the first time, the panther and the gorilla fought side by side, their rivalry replaced by something far stronger. In saving Lina, they had saved each other, and perhaps the future of the entire jungle. After the danger passed, the gorilla and the panther stood silently, their eyes still watching Lina with a new respect. Together, they led her through the thick jungle toward the ancient tree at the heart of the forest, a place whispered about in stories, where peace was once made and where all creatures, great and small, found balance. Word of Lina's bravery spread quickly through the jungle. Animals from every corner began to gather, drawn by the promise of something different, a chance to leave old grudges behind. The panther and the gorilla, once fierce enemies, stood side by side as living proof that peace was possible. That day marked the beginning of a new tradition. Every year, creatures of the jungle would come together beneath the great tree to remember the moment a girl had stood between them and changed everything. The jungle, once divided by fear and rivalry, began to heal. Lina's courage became a legend told around campfires and in the rustling leaves, a story of hope and unity. The jungle was no longer just a place of survival. It had become a place where enemies could become friends, where balance was restored, and where the spirit of the wild thrived like never before. Years later, Lina stood at the edge of the clearing, watching young animals play together, panther cubs chasing after baby gorillas, laughter and joy echoing through the trees. The jungle she had once known as a place of danger and division was now alive with harmony and hope. She didn't need words to understand what had changed. The wounds carved by claws and anger had begun to heal, not through force or fear, but through courage and kindness. Lina's heart had been the bridge between two worlds, teaching the jungle that even the fiercest rivals could find peace. As the sun set, casting a warm golden glow over the forest, Lina smiled quietly. She knew that the story she had helped write was far from over. The jungle would continue to grow, to change, and to thrive, forever carrying the lesson that sometimes all it takes is one brave soul to rewrite the fate of an entire world. And so, the legend of the girl who stood between the panther and the gorilla lived on, a timeless tale of courage, unity, and the power to change even the wildest hearts.